want to talk a little bit about Tantra. It's one of the questions that I get asked the most, which is, what is Tantra? Tantra is a spiritual path that is a holistic weaving together of the spiritual, the physical and sensual, and the emotional and energetic with the sexual. And a lot of people have misconceptions about Tantra, thinking that it's only related to sex. Very much not. Tantra offers some really powerful practices that allow you to intensify sexual energy. Practices involving movement, breath, and sound. Very seemingly simple practices that make people think, well, this is too simple. It can't be as powerful as all that. And to that I say, why not give it a try? That the grand experiment of life offers you opportunities to try out different belief systems and different ways of being that may fully take you by surprise. And that is exactly what happened to me. I personally hired my own tantric healing and intimacy coach after I got divorced from a marriage where I felt very sexually malnourished. I had been so strategic in my way of relating sexually with my partner, in that he had negotiated with me that we needed to be having sex 2 to 3 times a week, or he wasn't interested in staying married. Now, what that meant was, instead of what I should have done in this negotiation would have been to say, that sounds beautiful, 2 to 3 times a week, at least, please. But what I will need from that is for us to be in deep connection beforehand. And these are the ways. And I didn't have the skill set to communicate my needs in that conversation. And instead, I internalized his needs and took on judgments that he didn't care about me and my perspective. I, went to great lengths to try to pretend that I was appreciating him and the sexual connection, because I knew that he wouldn't be satisfied if I was seemingly unhappy there. And what I was doing was creating performative, disconnecting encounters that created more or less an aversion to sex for me, that made me not want to be sexual with my partner, and really etched in some grooves of suffering and wounding that we had a hard time coming back from, even after we had started going to marriage counseling and learned about codependency and learned about people pleasing and learned about the need to set boundaries and communicate needs, boundaries, desires. And I had all of these concepts intellectually in my mind, but it wasn't until I hired my tantric healing and intimacy coach and started working with a dance instructor who trained in Brazilian Zouk, which is a very sexy partner dance from Brazil, where I finally was able to integrate the concepts from the therapy sessions into my body. And my body was able to take these lessons and to learn, by the nature of the type of dance that I was doing, I could have actually very well created a further injury to my own patterns of disregarding my truth and going with the flow of somebody else's desired outcome. Because the dance itself is a very gender-rolled intensification where the man leads, the woman follows, and it's very much about the woman being able to access a state of surrender, which I love so much as a woman, to be able to access a state of surrender. However, it's not my job to surrender to just any man. It is actually important that I understand how to advocate for my own needs, boundaries, and desires, how to hold myself in integrity, how to communicate what gives me pleasure. And so what's fantastic is the coach that I hired was a specialist in a very specific modality called liquid lead and follow. And she taught me how to do Brazilian Zouk from within this framework where both partners learn to lead, both partners learn to follow, and it becomes a conversation between the two where the presence and attunement of both is so profound that you eventually get to the point where you can't fully tell who is leading and who is following often. That the dance is a co-creation. And learning this style of dance with this specific frame absolutely translated for me into the bedroom. No longer did I continue the patterns of surrendering. And when I say surrender in this context, I actually mean complying with somebody's direction that they suggest simply because I don't want to hurt their feelings or because I want them to see me as a good lover. And so I perform the things I think that a good lover looks like and sounds like and behaves like, but yet not actually communicating with any authenticity my truth to my partner, and thus not being able to actually experience the very kind of lovemaking that would create the most powerful, delicious expressiveness that I could offer. No longer available for that. Now I understand how to access my truth, how to stay in presence in my body, and how to advocate for a different dance move if whatever is being offered is not really working for me. And not from necessarily a place of, I'm sorry, can we stop? That doesn't feel good, or technical or masculine or, like verbal, but from a really delicious place of movement, breath, and sound being powerful communicators. And before I could access the ability to offer this potent language with partners, I actually had to learn how to come into relationship with these skills, with these ways of being on my own, from the safety of my own space. And firstly, like in front of a mirror where nobody could see me. And then eventually with my dance teacher who offered and held space as a witness, and my Tantra coach who also held space and offered body practices that were designed to help me learn to emote my truth. But not only to emote it, but to access it, to come into my body in my awareness, and to feel sensations I had never been able to be aware of before, to access energy flow that I had never known existed, and to go to realms that were so beyond my awareness that all I knew at the time I was married was that I yearned for something different, that it must be more beautiful than this. And yet I had no concept of the how or the what. And working with these women is what brought me into my body in a way that connected me to my own potential, to my own radiance and aliveness and expression and truth and authenticity. It is my deep desire to be able to bring that to you. I returned to Utah and realized that the longer I had been away in Costa Rica in my own explorations, the further and further I got from the version of me that I used to be, from my peers back in Utah, and from the people that I saw on the street who felt so contained and rigid in their systems, that they had been so full of self-control and denial of the aspects of themselves, their sensuality, their even the full range of their emotions, from the delicious to the intensely frustrating and harsh. That all of these emotions are speaking to us, communicating our truth, our needs, our boundaries, and our desires. Anger is a potent communicator, which indicates fear, unmet needs, or crossed boundaries. Anger is not something to be in rejection of. Your anger is your friend. Your anger is your inner guardian who is trying to keep you safe. And the more we can get into current relationship with our anger in a healthy way that allows us to access the lessons and the needs that our anger is communicating to us, the sooner we can stop accidentally exploding in anger in unhealthy moments at people who frankly don't deserve it, whether that's our children, our loved ones, or, perhaps they deserve it sometimes, but not to the degree that we would like to be in more control, to be able to express our anger in a way that can be honoring of those that we love, while also recognizing that we need to create safe spaces for ourselves to fully process and emote and be with the intensity, the biggest intensity of our anger, and allow our anger to be witnessed, even if it's just by our own self. Because it's the witnessing of our anger that gives us access to the truth that our anger is communicating to us. And whether that truth is a truth of this present moment has a boundary in it that I need to set, or whether that truth is my past had a boundary that I needed to set that I didn't validate then, and I'm still angry about, and I need the space to feel and to be witnessed and held and processed through so that I can stop showing up in the present moment angry all the time over an old wound. Maybe it's that. And if we're not current in relationship with our emotions, then old stuff is bound to come up, and not in the most opportune ways or moments. So this rigidity, this held, stuck tension that I see in the people in the streets, for me, I feel that that is a symptom of being not current in their emotions, of holding emotions that need to be expressed and that need to be understood and validated. And the skill set of becoming current with our emotions allows us to loosen our body's clamped control and allow ourselves to be seen vulnerably in our authenticity, moment by moment. And first we get to learn how to create that opportunity for ourselves. And my work is to create the safe spaces to help people learn how to access that for themselves in the privacy of their own healing journey. And then to learn how to attune to themselves so deeply, so authentically, with such precision, that all of a sudden you're able to observe people in much more intense ways. You can only meet another as deeply as you have met yourself. And so I offer to you guys this upcoming course that I am launching in the middle of March on the 15th. It's a 12-week self-intimacy series for women where we are exploring Tantra and Tantric practices, connecting movement, breath, and sound, as well as profound presence, as ways for us to activate our true expression, whether that is in our dense emotions, in our transcendent, blissed out, connected oneness, or in our sexual aliveness and sensual radiance, and intensifying all of the potential potency that we have in all of these different arenas. The holistic framework that Tantra offers is something I cannot wait to share with you. This 12-week journey will be a very held, sacred container, only available for 30 women. And this is my first time offering a course like this. And so it will be my Beta Cohort, my group of women who are helping me to develop this program, to maximize the value that I can give to you, and to experience for yourself, perhaps for the first time, a profound access to your body, to your sensuality, your sexuality, your spirituality, and your integrity with self. Being able to harmonize aspects of self that have been begging for you to connect with them. Being able to witness them and hold them with love, protection, wonder, and to give them the space to teach you your truest self. This journey in many ways is a mirror of the journey that I have led myself. my own spiritual quest that I pursued after getting divorced, though I offer it to you in this space so that perhaps you don't have to go after a full divorce, a full abandoning of your previous career and moving to another country, but that can allow you, from the safety of your home, from inside the relationships you're already in, the opportunity to come to know yourself more deeply, to develop skills like authentic relating that allow you to bring what you discover to your loved ones in ways that are safe for them, honoring of them and their needs just as much as they are honoring of you and yours. It has been my deep pleasure to be in development of this course for the last several years, and I am very excited and delighted to be able to offer it to you. Registration is available now. There are 3 different phases for pricing that relate to super early bird, which is very ending very soon, early bird and standard pricing. And the more quickly you can make the decision to join, the more money you save. We have it set up so that you can make monthly payments towards this experience, with the final payment coming in at the very same time that the course ends. Or you can pay in full at the beginning to be able to save even more. I cannot wait to see you this March as part of this course. I feel honored to bring it to you, and I can't wait to see what we co-create in this beta cohort in our safe and held container.